May 29th. Rees Howells.
When we wage war in prayer, we can change history. Before the Nazis' lightning war hurled shockwaves across the world, God hid a secret weapon in Wales. His name was Rees Howells. God had taught Rees to fight by means of prayer, and Rees taught the faculty, the staff, and the students at the Bible College of Wales. The upshot? The community vowed to serve God as intercessors. Acts 2:17 says, "In the last days, God says, I will pour out my Spirit upon all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, and your young men will see visions, and your old men will dream dreams." Before Hitler waged war on the world, God showed the dictator's true character to Rees, and his intercessors waged war on Hitler. Nearly 100 praying people fought the battles of the kingdom as if to fight on the Western Front. Intercessory prayer started at 7 every evening. After a supper break at 9, the people moved to the Blue Room where they prayed until they felt released. When the battles were especially fierce, the prayer warriors prayed and fasted all day. In May 1940, the Nazis pushed Allied forces toward Dunkirk, which was only 21 miles across the English Channel from Great Britain. Britain lived in extreme danger. But Rees stood firm in God's promise that Hitler would not invade Christian England. "There has to be the doom of the Nazis," Rees said. "It will come now if we can prevail." Still, the Nazis kept advancing. On May 18th, Rees asked God to bring disaster on the Nazis. On May 19th, Allied commanders made plans to rescue stranded troops while Nazi tanks bore down on Dunkirk. "The destiny of England will be at stake today and tomorrow," Rees said. "There is an enemy that we must keep in check." Suddenly, 5 days later, on May 24th, Hitler halted the German panzer divisions. It was a military blunder no one understood, but it gave the Allies time they desperately needed. On May 26th, Nazi tanks rolled again, and Prime Minister Churchill called England to a day of prayer. The German military's relentless bombing sank British ships and pounded the men crowding the shore, and Dunkirk's shallow beach kept British naval ships from reaching their troops to rescue them. German submarines, called U-boats, patrolled like sharks stalking their prey. They were out for blood. Rees and his team of 100 intercessors asked the Almighty God, who created all people, to save our men. Rees then separated himself for deeper intercession as the 100 prayed together. On May 27th, Churchill called for civilian boats to help. Finally, on May 28th, as prayer warriors continued to battle on their knees, a sense of relief washed over them. They felt sure something had happened while they were praying. On May 29th, Rees rejoined the people praying. "The battle is the Holy Spirit's," he told them. "He is there on the battlefield with his drawn sword." That day, the little ships of Dunkirk sailed a perfectly calm sea. Churchill had hoped to save 45,000 men, but in the miracle of Dunkirk, God rescued 338,000 troops. World War II continued, and the intercessors continued too. Sometimes, like during the Battle of Salina, God told them how to pray before the news reported that the Allies were in peril. As troops landed in Normandy in 1944, Rees cried out to God, "If you hadn't intervened in Dunkirk, not one of us would be here today," he said. "So don't allow us to be slack." The intercessors prayed, and Allied troops crossed the Channel on the only night German U-boats didn't patrol it. Under the cover of thick fog, 4,000 ships and 11,000 planes never met a single enemy ship or plane. God had answered their prayers. How can God use you as a secret weapon? When we wage war in prayer, we can change history.
Hey man, my name is Mike Potta. Today is May 29th, coming to you from Jerusalem, where I'm serving together here with my wife and our 2 children. I remember as I came to faith several years ago, I read Rees Howells' story, and it greatly impacted me. It impacted me then, and today as I listened to the story again, I was greatly impacted and challenged, and I'm going to pass that challenge along to us today. I remember as I listened to his story, I remember thinking that that kind of life of prayer and of faith, it must be just for certain kinds of people or certain kinds of calling over different kinds of people. And yet as I've grown older, I've come to realize that this is the exact kind of life that God is inviting you and me to live together with Him every single day of our lives. And this is why, because we're surrounded by an intense spiritual battle, a battle that you and I have to face every single day. And in this battle, there are no neutral sides. There's no seat that we can sit and just sort of be a spectator and watch. We have to engage in the battle. We have to choose a side. The Apostle Paul, as he describes this battle for us in Ephesians chapter 6, says this about it. This is the Message version. He says, this is no afternoon athletic contest. This is life or death. This is for keeps. A life or death fight to the finish against the devil and against his angels. And then he goes on to describe all the different weapons that God gives to us to be able to engage in this battle that surrounds our lives. Prayer being the most powerful and indispensable weapon that God gives to us. And so let me ask you this, guys. How are you doing in this battle? Have you chosen a side? And are you engaging in this battle? And then the real question is, how are you doing with this weapon of prayer, this tool of prayer? You know, it's just like every other tool in our garage, guys. If you use it, you get better at it. You develop a skill, a proficiency in using it. If you don't use it, you never develop that skill. So God's inviting us today to pick up this weapon of prayer. Maybe we've never picked it up before, but we can pick it up today, begin to learn how to use it, begin to use it to engage in this battle that surrounds our lives. Certainly to pray for our lives, to pray for our families and our communities, but more than that, to be able to begin to pray into what God is doing in the earth today, to engage in this battle that surrounds our lives. This is God's invitation to us, and this is our challenge for us today, guys. God bless you and have a great day.